I feel like I need.
Well, we are recording live here. Wow. That was the best start ever, Gina. I was like,
hello.
I hope you have your mug of tea or coffee here or bourbon, whatever you like to start your morning with. I'm Jam at Peaceful Media. I'm the co-founder of Peaceful Media and the chief of optimism. And I have a very special guest who I know is going to sprinkle some very powerful magic dust over everyone who's watching this, taking the time to understand how they can elevate their brands and stand out in a busy market. I have my special guest and friend here in Portland, Gina Rao. She is an amazing, big-hearted person who also founded a brand called Mighty Big Impact. And she's a brand and storytelling specialist who's worked alongside some of the biggest corporations out there, but also down in here in the weeds of people who are like just getting started, starting up their brands, starting up their companies, and trying to find out how to make a difference, but also like really stand out in a market where everyone's starting to sound the same. You know, it's becoming ubiquitous that everyone has a website, everyone's out there on social media trying to stand out, and very few people are rising to the top. And what Gina does in the magical secret sauce of her creative problem solving is usually the difference from people who just keep churning through things and people who are companies and brands that really start to make an impact and start to like find the resonance and find the audience and start like, wow, yeah, I keep seeing this person everywhere and I keep feeling something different than I've been experiencing with all these other noisy voices out there. So she's like I said, an amazing, big-hearted person. We just recently met for coffee, and she was just excited to start to help people like that we've been serving here who really have a big dream, but don't have that framework for that sort of secret sauce, the brand juju that makes you stand out. And so I asked her to come and share like what she's been doing for the Nordstroms and the Disneylands and the Whole Foods and the big, huge brands out there, McDonald's. I mean, was it Taco Bell too? Did you help them come up with the Chihuahua?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Back in the Chihuahua days, absolutely.
The fifth meal. Anyways, yeah. So now she gets to take all of that big idea, big corporation stuff that she's learned and down in the weeds of like really crafting a story and a message and advertising, and bring it down to help people like you. So I'm really excited. It's an early day, so get your coffee out. We're going to cheers over here. Gina, I don't know if you got your...
Cheers.
There you go.
Cheers.
Oh, what is that? Oh, Portland. Yes. So I'm really happy that you're here, Gina. Welcome to Peaceful Media's, I don't know what to call this. This is sort of Freedom Lab-ish. This is sort of just helping our audience do what they do even better. So welcome.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here and sharing whatever I can to help your audience today.
Yeah. So you're a brand specialist, right? And it's that's people mistake what branding is, you know, all the time. I hear it like when we're talking about creating a brand or a brand identity, people go, "Oh, well, I already got my logo."
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay. A logo is one thing, but that is just a little itty speck on the top of the iceberg of what branding really is. So could you just kind of set the table of what you do and what branding means when you go to work?
Absolutely. I love this conversation because I'm a marketer, but I call myself a brandful marketer. And what that means is that I take sort of a brand first approach. And people say like, oh, what does that mean? Your brand is not your logo. It is not your name. It is not your company name. It is not anything that you can really look at. And to what you were saying, I think people make that mistake a lot. You know, I have a logo or I have a website. That's my brand. I have a pen with a name on it. I must have a brand. I hear that a lot. But your brand, I think it was actually, I'm not going to say who it was because I will probably get it wrong. But your brand is what people say about you or feel about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
when
great way of putting it.
when you think about brands that you love, brands, you know, an easy one to think about is Target. How you feel when you think about going shopping at Target, not at the holidays time though. That's just crazy. But yeah. When we did research a few years ago for another retailer, people talked about Target and their faces light up. Target is, you know, it's like an adventure. Every time I go there, there's new things on the end and I never know what I'm going to find. Like they talked about Target as the shopping they love to do, not the shopping they have to do. So, you know, all these feelings and emotions about shopping at Target, that's the brand. When you think about Disney, you think magic, you think, you know, fantasies coming to life. That's the Disney brand. So the brand is, how you stand out, how people think about you when after they've interacted with you, after they've tried your service or your product, that's your brand.
Yeah. And it's really obvious when it's missing, and you kind of hear it in the voices of people who probably come to you and come to us. There's kind of two different markets here who really need to listen to this message. I think one is the person who's just starting from scratch and maybe got inspired by another expert or guru, like some of our clients like Jeff Walker or Brendan Burchard, or the Marie Forleos of the world.
Right.
Like they see those people and they go, oh gosh, I want to go create a business just like that. And they think that what they need to do is just go like technically get a website and put together 3 videos and, you know, an offer video and all this stuff. And
just like them,
you know, and pretend to be just like them. And they're missing the point. Right. And then there's this market of people who've been in business and found some success, but as they listened or didn't listen to their customers and started to find some traction or not, didn't, you know, were slowly finding traction. It's an opportunity to reimagine what our company is and stands for. And that's branding. Right. So what does it matter to these people?
Yeah, I get that a lot. If you don't have brand, your brand is how you stand out. Your brand is how you differentiate. Do you remember, I don't know, maybe it was in the 80s, there was like a brand of beer just called like beer. It was like a tan, if I remember correctly, because I'm sure I was underage. It was like a tan can and it just said beer on it. That's the epitome of not having a brand. Although in today's, you know, Portlandia brand, we probably made a brand, and it would be hip and cool.
Right.
Without a brand, without a distinct brand, you just blend in, and it's a really noisy world out there. You know, when you're, you know, trying to engage on social media, for example, you are not just competing with other people in your field. You're competing with everyone in my Facebook stream. You're competing with my mom, my husband, my kids, my friends, people I really care about. I want to hear their messages, and you're just kind of creating noise. So if you can't stand out and immediately compel your audience in such a way that they get you and they see how you're different than other people in your field, they're going to pass you up like vanilla ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one chooses vanilla at 31 at Baskin Robbins.
Totally. Yeah. And you're right. Portland is a little bit unique. Like we in Portland would be attracted to the script, you know, beer on a white label. I think Costco sells that now as like just this white can that says beer in big black impact, you know, font.
Nice.
But that's a very Portland thing. Most of the time we need that. And that's why photography and design and what all those nuances of how we present our brands have come forth, as well as the story of how you got to this place. Right. I mean, I know storytelling is a huge part of what you do, but I'm going to put a pin in that because I know you're going to
we'll come back to
the process.
Right.
I want to
Right.
know. I want to know what you see people doing that's sort of mistaken, or like like what's the wrong approach to going and creating a brand? I have a feeling there's going to be a keyword in here called pretending. Right?
Yeah. There's yeah.
Or
So
mimicry, or copycatting, or whatever it is.
yeah, I see a lot of that. The the issues or the problems that I see are wide ranging, from people who have no brand identity. They are the vanilla in a world of abundant flavors,
Right.
and so they're not standing out. They are easily passed over because they stand for nothing. There's no easy way to tell what they're about, or why I should talk to them or give them my attention. I've had a lot of clients come to me because they don't know who they are, and so they don't know how to show up, and they don't know how to have a brand and a presence. And then there's people who, like you said earlier, they see the Jeff Walkers and the Marie Forleos and they think, well, I will just be like them.
Yeah.
Because they're successful, I should be successful. And the thing that makes Marie Forleo is that she's Marie Forleo.
Right.
It's not,
right.
The content is actually, it's great content, but it's not that unique. Other people are saying it in different ways, but it's Marie's personality. That's her brand. That's what's coming through in every video and every piece of content that she shares. Same thing with Jeff Walker or Brendon Burchard or all these thought leaders. It's their personality and their story. That's their brand. That's what makes them so unique. Right. So the copycats, sadly, do not experience that kind of success because it's not truly them. And here's what happens. When you copycat, it's really easy to be inconsistent because it's hard. I mean, unless you're a trained actor, it's hard to be someone else 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So could you imagine trying to, I have to say, it would be exhausting for me to try to be like Marie Forleo every day. To be something that you're not is really hard work, and eventually you're going to slip. Yeah. And as soon as you slip, you've lost all the trust that you've gained with your audience.
Right. So, and I think that goes back to the title of this webinar, which I failed to say at the front, which is how strong branding can help build your business, but also help you feel in flow with your business.
Yeah.
Feel good about doing this work. And I see a lot of people who come to us, exhausted because they're doing just that. They're not only are they trying to copy the technical aspects and thinking that's the key to success, they're also using the same mediums that may not be in alignment with an authenticity of how they can best voice their message, right? I mean, just the down and dirty of, if you're a great writer, then is it your best venue to go out and do all Facebook Live? Probably not, Right. I think that's something you dabble in, but don't get rid of your bread and butter talent and message a medium.
Right. I think, it's really easy to sort of follow the roadmap of these thought leaders and what they've done and how they've done it, whether it's their brand or their tactics. Yeah. But I was just having a conversation with a client yesterday about podcasts and video and written content. Yeah. And she had just listened to a podcast about podcasting, and I had just listened to a podcast about video. And we were saying how her approach she would rather be behind the camera. And so she does not want to do video. She wants to do podcasts. Yeah. She would love to have her audience hear her voice so that her authentic brand, which is part of her voice and personality, can come through like it can't in the written form. But she doesn't want to be on camera. Yeah. Whereas I love to be on camera. So it's, you have to build an authentic brand and an authentic business. The two go hand in hand. And when they do, everything comes natural. You are consistent, which builds trust with your audience. And it's easy. It's so much easier when you build an authentic brand.
Yeah. I imagine that people coming to you, they come with a very nebulous idea of what branding is. And I imagine you've created a system or a process that helps these ideas, these stories, these unique flavors of what your business is, come forth. Can you kind of walk through, if someone's watching this, walk through what you would do with them to help them find their unique voice and brand?
Sure. So, depending on who the client is, I have some different approaches, but it really kind of boils down to, sort of getting in touch with yourself.
Yeah.
And the first step is really to understand, who you are. What are your values? What's your mission? What's your purpose? And not necessarily maybe your purpose in life, but what is your purpose in this business?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? It's your why. Simon Sinek is all about the why. And if you don't know your why, it is so hard to build an authentic brand.
So everyone note that, go, if you haven't read Simon Sinek's book, Why, go grab that, because that's going to be the foundations of your conversation with someone, a brand strategist or marketing strategist such as Gina.
Yeah, your why is really important. I've actually had to pause some of my engagements, because when we got to step one, what's your why? People froze up. They didn't know their why. They just thought, to your point, they saw someone else doing something, they thought they could do it better, and so why not just do that? They really didn't think about why they were doing this and how they wanted to serve their audience, or what outcomes they wanted, or how it would benefit or impact the world. They just wanted to do something.
Yeah. What have you, now you've obviously created great successes, and you didn't for the clients who were more in tune with that. What have you seen happen when someone goes through this process, sort of like a before and after case study of some of your client successes, just so that people can really entrench the value of branding and knowing your purpose, knowing your mission, knowing your vision and why you're doing this?
Sure. So I had one client a few years ago who came to me, and she was in a position where she was often meeting people who she would define as her ideal audience.
Okay.
These were people, she had done some work, and through a little bit of trial and error had figured out who her ideal audience is and who they are not. And so by just through her social network and her community, she would often find herself at parties or events with these people who represent ideal audiences. And they would ask her, so what do you do? And she would freeze up. She had what she called she had no elevator pitch. She didn't know how to talk about what she did, or how she did it, or why, or anything. Yeah. She would just choke up. And so she came to me saying, I need a story. I have probably missed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in income, because I don't know how to talk about what I do.
Yeah.
And so we started with her brand, and that was so integral into her business and how she served her clients, because it was a very personal relationship she had with her clients. And so it was about her and how she served, and her values and her mission and her purpose and her why. So through this work, we gave her words. We gave her a story that she could go to a cocktail party. And I remember right after our work together, it was the holiday season were coming, and she knew she was having all these different events coming up on her calendar. And so she finally confidently went to these events, feeling like, yeah, man, this opportunity is going to present itself, and I am going to have all of the exact words to say. And by January, her plate was full. She had no more opportunities, no more basically space on her calendar, because she had booked up all of her client slots.
Yes.
Just from having words, just from having a story to tell.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned a couple things. I mean, having the story to tell is critical. I mean, that's going to not only be your elevator pitch at the cocktail party, but it's also something that lands on your website and all your marketing collateral,
Oh, yeah.
and finally makes the impact. So many people just have a website with no nuance, no understanding of what Gina's talking about here, of honing in on that niche and honing in on that elevator pitch, and that's why you get no traction. Have you seen this all the time? Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's really hard to have a story if you don't know who you are, if you don't know your why, if you don't understand like your values and what you stand for. Yeah. It's really hard to have a story.
Yeah.
At least a unique story.
So tell me more about how you unearth this story, because it may not be a new concept for people. So what's a process you use to find that magic, that creates the resonance for someone who's just stumbling upon one's brand? Right.
So sometimes so it starts with the why. It starts with what they're doing, why they're doing it, who their audience is, who their ideal audience is. I love when I go to events, and I remember I was at Chris Guillebeau's Pioneer Nation a few years ago, and we're talking about
fans of Chris over here at Peaceful Media.
I know. Well, I think, so many people around the world are, but especially here in Portland.
Yeah.
So it was a conversation around, building products that your audience can't say no to. And this woman stood up and said, so I have a question. It's really hard for me to target my audience because everyone is a potential customer. Everyone in the world. If you have a heart, you are a potential customer. Yeah. And I can't remember who the speaker was, but, they kind of got in this little banter about, no, I'm sorry, everyone is not your audience. And if so, you've got a problem because you can't sell to everyone. Yeah. So with my clients, I use this sort of visual of like a bullseye. And if the world is the outer ring, you could have the world as your audience. Sure. You would need an insane amount of money to target the world. Right. You can't. Walmart does not target the world.
Right.
You need to zoom in until like the finest point right in the middle of the bullseye. That's your target. That's your target audience, especially when you're starting out and you don't have large budgets. Yeah. You really need to focus on your niche, your specific audience, because what happens is once you have your brand, once you know your ideal audience, and once you have your messaging or your story, you can compel them in such ways that they have no choice but to say yes. It's really easy because you're speaking just to them,
right,
in a way that attracts them.
Right. But how does one get that story down on paper? I know your eyes light up because that's magic,
right?
That you bring to as a service to clients. But what's a process for just understanding what parts of one story to tell and to not tell? And
sure.
I see so many people having greater success when they tell a personal story that's going to relate to their audience, right? But
right.
Not everyone has, or may not think that they have a dramatic enough story. They don't have I almost died and I had this epiphany that I needed, they don't have necessarily that story. So how do you shape a little bit more of a, say, a vanilla upbringing or, non-tragic storyline?
Right. Yeah, we can't all be, Brendan Burchard or Hal Elrod with these near-death experiences.
Right.
But, if you're building an authentic brand, you have a starting point. And it's usually your why you're doing this.
Yeah.
So the journey I sort of take my clients on is first we identify the brand, and I'll come back to the 3 steps on how to define your authentic brand.
Okay, great. By the way, everyone, go grab a piece of notepad, paper. Do we still have paper in people's houses?
I do.
At the end of this, we are going to go through a 3-step process you can use to create your authentic brand that Gina uses with her clients. So go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, no, that's good. So the brand sort of, once you have your brand defined, it helps you stay in voice, stay consistent, more easily kind of tell your story and show up the way you want to show up.
Right.
Then we look at, who's your target audience, the ideal audience. Who do you want to work with? I have a lot of I have a lot of people who come to me that don't fit my ideal clients. And sometimes it's because I don't want to work with them. Yeah. So, I work with my clients on defining, I would say 3 to 5 different buyer personas or audience personas that represent people that they can uniquely help and they want to work with. And it's really just sort of an exploratory exercise when you think about who you've been working. If you've done this for a while, it's easy to sort of go back in time and think about, okay, I have these 50 clients or these 20 clients, right, and these 10 represent, a persona that I'm going to call Julie. And Julie was this, and she was this age, and she kind of, she's kind of in this life scenario. This is what she's looking for. This is how she wants to feel. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Okay. This is where I can find her. This is how she's influenced. This is where she hangs out in social media or what other sites or influencers she may pay attention to. Mm-hmm. So I fully define Julie, and then go on to the next persona. And I recommend having really only 3 to maybe 5 at the most, because again, the more personas you have, the more expensive it is, the more time consuming it is to speak to them all. Sometimes some of my audiences or my clients, they have one persona, and they really zero in on that one person. And it's really easy to create content and market to them.
Yeah. So as you go out to send your newsletter or your promotions or your new blog post or your video on Facebook, whatever it is, you're really just thinking of that person, that persona, that client. Maybe it's based on a client, or maybe it's thinking about yourself when you were your own client, Oh yeah. Thinking about where your head was at, what things were going inside your head in those moments where you really needed some support. And
right. At one company that I worked with, we had 5 different personas, and they each had, sort of a fictitious, stock photo model and name and, bio. And we would, for everyone who created content in the company, we created little headshots of each of the 5 personas, and they were on, laminated on their desk. So when they were creating content, they chose a persona and they wrote as if they were talking to that person, so that they could really zero in on that conversation.
Yeah. So do you recommend, particularly for solo entrepreneurs who are building a personal name brand, do you recommend revealing how you got to where you're at? And if so, where and how?
How I got to where I'm at.
I'll give you an example. Someone just reached out to us to upgrade their website. Wasn't feeling very confident about her copywriting. And I'll be honest, I went to the website, and she's a therapist. And the thing that made me go, oh, wow, I'd really love to work with this person, not even searching her out, but I was like, damn, this is really compelling, and I'm interested. The piece that got me was her story of how she got there, why she became a therapist, her darkest night story, darkest night of the soul story. And she didn't go into it wasn't a huge Tolstoy melodrama or anything, but it was enough for me to realize that she's in this for the right reasons, and she's going to understand me. Right. And that's, like you were saying, she feels me because I feel her. That's what we're trying to make through the storytelling. So how do you work with that sort of impetus for why they got into this business?
Right. So So for me, so Jason, you're asking me for my story, right? Is that what you're asking?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Or for
Okay.
clients, I mean, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm still looking for, what do you recommend? How much to tell and how you do it?
Aha. So how much you tell? Okay, so I will admit I work with a lot of clients, especially like tech startups that, they have a great idea and they think they can make money.
Yep.
There is no story there. In those details right there, that is not the story to tell.
Max loves that. There's no story there. I want to make money on you. That's the story. What? The story is, I want to make money on you.
Right. And you know what? Customers can't really connect with that story. Yeah. So my philosophy, and I've seen this so many times, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. Yep. And so in your story, you need to allow people to get to know you, get to like you, and trust you.
Sure.
So if there's not a story, like, yeah, I had a near-death experience and, I had a vision and this is my gift to the world, then there, or something, something has prepared you for your entire life for this moment, then how do you allow people to get to know, like, and trust you? It's the personal stories. So for example, I worked with a company a few years ago who they were a tech company. They did have a story. They were not just about making money, but their story was they were building this travel technology product, for lack of better definition, because they haven't launched yet. And they brought two pieces of sort of experience and expertise together. One of the co-founders was an avid traveler. His world revolved around traveling the world, and all kinds of colorful, rich experiences around traveling. And then the other co-founder was also very passionate about traveling the world and sharing that passion. But he was, his career was based around project management. Yep. And so this tool that they're building is basically for people who share their value or their passion for travel, but don't want to deal with the headaches of organizing, planning, and coordinating travel. Right. And so that in there are the nuggets of their story. It's the passion that they're bringing to their product and services that lies the story.
Okay, and so where does that story get placed? I mean, I'm assuming they're posting their passions on Instagram and Facebook and in their about section and the mission statement for the app. I mean, how does it get applied?
Sure. So the story is everywhere. Because once you know what your story is, it comes, you let it come out everywhere. And through your story is how people get to know, like, and trust you. Yeah. So their stories, of course, the very basic, your stories are on your about page on your website. Right. They're on every profile page and social media. It's everywhere. But then you tell it in chapters and in storylines, sprinkle it around social media in different ways so that it's not just a one and done. I told my story once and now, it's out there, because again, you're fighting for attention and you can't just put it out there once. So your story comes out in Instagram and Facebook posts and blog posts and video. Theirs came out in their investor deck. It needs to truly be effective. It needs to be everywhere. Right.
So this isn't, the point of this, I think, is that it's not a one-time exercise. This becomes the DNA of everything you do to communicate, but also the DNA of your decision-making. And I'll give you a couple examples. One was when The Wolf of Wall Street got referred to us. I'm on a call with Jordan Belfort, God bless the man. I hope that he's on a healing journey to do something about what he's what he's done in the planet. And so when I got on the call with him, I listened to what he wanted to do, and then I respectfully said, "Yo, man, I do think we could serve you, but this is definitely not in alignment with what our brand's all about. We're all about loving more and doing more good in the world, and I'm sorry, but everything I've seen of you is just polar opposite, to be honest." And he said, I respect your opinion and I respect your time, so all right, peace. It was a really clean conversation, but I had that sort of true north of what our brand's DNA was to be able to make that decision. And the same thing will apply for you. So that's the values and mission statement. When it comes to how those things get infused into all of your communication, but for instance, I don't spend a lot of time on social media posting new marketing tactics or, yeah, we got 500% conversions on this funnel, like a lot of internet marketing or digital marketing firms or people do. And so because of that, we get a very different kind of clientele than the person who's in the, make money, that startup MO. It's the person who reads, just yesterday, someone said, "You know how I found you guys? They have a big e-commerce, essential oils e-commerce operation up in Canada. You know how I found you? There's this one quote you put on Instagram. It was work is love made visible from Khalil Gibran. And I have that on my vision board for my business. And because of that, I just knew that this is the right outfit for us to help us take our brand to the next level." So these little, so the decisions you're making on what goes out and whom you work with and what you use to illustrate your company's successes, case studies, etc., all come from this nugget of who you are and why you do what you do.
Yeah, and I love what you said too about knowing that potential client was not right for you. A lot of times, clients will come to me who have an abundance of non-ideal clients, and that's what's driving the work, because they need to, they know they have a purpose. They know that they serve, they serve the world in certain ways, but they also feel like something's not right.
Things not in alignment. Yeah.
I am successful. I'm making a lot of money, but something doesn't feel good inside.
Right.
And usually what it comes down to is that there's a misalignment in their values and their values of their clients. Yeah. And so through this work, through identifying their values and who they want to work with, who those ideal clients are, it acts as a filter. And so you can very easily say, yep, not a good match. You're not right for me. I am not right for you. We're going to pass on that.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much freedom and space that creates for the right person to come in. Am I correct?
Yeah. It's that whole philosophy of, you don't want to say no, but saying no to the wrong opportunity lets you say yes to so many more right opportunities.
Yes. So speaking of opportunities, Gina, I'd love for people to be able to go through your process. You listed 3 critical steps to defining one's authentic brand. And I'd love for you to guide people through that as an exercise here. And then we're going to post this to our blog. So below you'll be able to see, come on over to mightybigimpact.com so you can learn more about what Gina does if you're interested in all of her services and amazing insights. She's frequently posting on social media. And right.
Somewhat.
And we'd love to, in the comments section, just, post whatever you're jotting down here through these 3 critical steps. Test it out in the comments. This is a free playground to get some insights and maybe some feedback from Gina. Gina will alert you anytime someone posts something where they'd love to get your insights or feedback on.
That would be great. That would be great. Yeah.
Cool. So let's go through the process.
Okay.
This is fun. Max back here geeks out on this whole topic as well. And in fact, he's another case study as a thought leader who, once he got his story and started telling the story of, your personal story, it was like, oh, wow, all this flow. Suddenly dozens of subscribers were coming in. It was like the light bulb just clicked on, right?
Gina knew me when I didn't have a story.
Yeah.
I know. I love that Max is back there sort of lurking, because we used to work together, and you're right. You had not sort of, I don't know, like maybe verbalize your story or kind of put it out there. So I love that. Hey, Max.
Hey.
I'm not surprised. Good.
That's awesome.
All right. So the 3-step process: get out your notepads or your notes on your little laptop there.
Or, your little Google Doc, whatever. Yeah. So, so the 3 steps are can be are flexible, but it really starts what I said earlier about knowing your why. So why are you doing this? And if your immediate instinct is to make money, go a little deeper, because there are a lot of ways to make money, right?
Yeah.
I want to know, why this? Why you? Why this? What are your values? Do you value integrity and trust? What is really important to you that you're not willing to budge on? What do you stand for? It's sort of like, what's your DNA?
Yeah.
So starting there gives you it's sort of like the first platform.
Okay.
We're building a stage.
Yeah, we're building
for your story to come to life.
So start there. Maybe you pause this video and take a page, to just free write and go into your why. Even if you have a business running right now, this is an important thing to do on a frequent basis. So you can make sure that you're still in alignment with why you got into this.
It is, absolutely. And, I've worked with companies before that, companies with other employees who realized when we get to this project, they didn't have company values. They didn't have, sort of a purpose statement.
Yeah.
And so to kind of pause and say, whoa, if this doesn't exist, we need to start there. So to have that sort of conversation, whether it's with yourself or, a partner, sometimes it is easier to sort of, have that dialogue with someone else, someone who knows you very well, someone who can give you really honest feedback and input and kind of help that conversation come out and be fruitful, can be really helpful too.
Perfect. So that's step 1.
Step 1.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's step 2.
So step 2 is really getting clear on your gift to the world. Why you? So we got the why in terms of what you want to do, but why you? What is it about you? And this is sort of the beginnings of your story. What makes you uniquely suited to do this thing?
Right.
What is your magic?
Yep.
What are your superpowers? What do you do that no one else in the world can claim to do? So if you are a copycat, this is going to be really hard.
This part is challenging no matter what. For people who don't have big egos, especially because they want to downplay or downgrade what you are a unique person. There is an answer to this.
Absolutely.
You to say, but I don't have that pedigree, or I don't have that MBA, or whatever it is that you think that you have to stand out.
Right. And I will say, when you have a product, it's a lot easier to talk about what makes this product unique and better and different than anything else on the market. It's really hard when you're talking about yourself. We don't go around talking about ourselves like that. Like, this is what makes me magical.
Right.
But a good place to start if you're doing.
By the way, there are people who have no problem with this either. It's the other end of the spectrum. I'm more used to the self-deprecating types, but
right.
But just one little note here. Sometimes it's as simple as I'm not just a talking head here. I'm a practitioner. I'm like, I do this work for my own business. Some one of the nuances or unique story pieces or unique reasons why one would want to work with Jam and Peaceful Media and all that stuff is we're down in the weeds. We're not just up on a stage talking, say, hey, this is what my technical person told me once, or I read on a blog post. We're in the weeds with you. And that's part of what could make you unique as well. Could also
Absolutely.
Something like I got inspired to launch a business, for instance, and I went out and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars getting educated, and now I get to filter it down for you what actually worked in my business. That's a unique, position for why you're the person to do it.
Right. Sometimes it's, I've done this. I mean, for me, for example, I have been a marketer since I was a teenager. It's in my DNA. It's through every experience, it's who I am. And so it's all this experience that I bring to what I do.
Right.
Sometimes it's just like, I've done this my whole life and it's worked for me. And now I want to share, this is my gift back to the world.
Right.
But yeah, we all have unique superpowers. And, with my solopreneur clients who really struggle with where to even start, sometimes they'll start with like, well, I can organize a desk like nobody's business. That's not really a superpower.
Right.
Yeah. Although I would love someone to come and organize my desk. I usually suggest starting with, think about some examples where you were on fire, you were shining, you were doing what you do, and everything was right. Everything felt right. You were in flow and you were helpful. Everything was just in sync and it was awesome. What were you doing? What about it? What did you bring to that scenario? Was it your insights? Was it your ability to connect ideas? Was it a relationship that you helped bring together? What was it that you did in these scenarios that made them so magical and made them, this just amazing experience? So starting there and thinking about that usually starts triggering other scenarios like that and what they did and how it felt. And that's a good place to start if you're kind of like, I don't know if I have superpowers.
Yeah. And I know from my work with you on a joint client, you also solicited that from clients, right? From the customers who've actually said, yeah, I KLT, know, like, trust you enough to give you a credit card. Those, you want to hear their point of view on this. Why did they choose you over the other brand?
Right. With a lot of my bigger clients, we will do work into researching with their clients. So I will talk with their clients and just ask them, why did you choose them? What was going on? What made them stand out? Why did you trust them?
Right.
What made you feel like they would solve your problem? And it's amazing these little truth nuggets that you get when you just ask people. You and I have both done a program where you ask this really great question of people to understand your superpowers. You can ask, friends or family or people that you potentially could serve as your audience. Why do you come to me? Just that. Why do you come to me? And what people say, some people will say like, oh, you have the most amazing recipes.
God, I love your eyelashes.
Yeah. You know exactly how to help me frizzy hair problems. Which is why I do go to one of my friends. But most people will open up and tell you why they, when they pick up the phone or when they send a text or when they want information or help, why they choose you instead of 50 other people that they could choose.
Yep.
So that can be a really telling exercise.
By the way, I will plug for Gina Rao here because she has this amazing ability Gina, you have this amazing ability to synthesize and see the through lines, the threads, the patterns, and then cohesively pull that together into that unique selling proposition or the elevator pitch or the marketing copy. So just wanted to plug that. That was an amazing work that you did for her.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
So what's the third step? So you've paused the video and you did that work. Maybe, maybe that takes you an extra day, but do that work. It's so important to find out what makes you unique and distinct. And then what comes next? Then
turn it around and think about why is this important to your audience? Okay. Why should they care that you have these, unique superpowers? What's in it for them? Right. How do you, by knowing who your ideal audience is, and if you haven't done that work, do it as part of this. Build those persona. And when you know what they're looking for and you know how they want to feel after interacting with you, you weave that into your story, into your brand. Like, how do you want to make people feel? Right. This is also sort of part how you want them to feel, but also part how you want them to think about you, because they kind of mingle about. So one activity that I do with all my clients is sort of a brand attribute exercise.
Okay.
And I would put this in step 3.
Yeah.
So think about the different attributes. If your brand was a person, and if you're a solopreneur, your brand is you. Yeah. What attributes would you want people to use to describe you after any exchange? It doesn't have to be live. It can be a Facebook post, a blog post, a video that they watched. However they've, you create all these little touch points for your brand. And after they exchange with them, how do you want them to feel and think about you? Are you thoughtful? Are you insightful? Are you clever? Are you adventurous? Are you playful? Are you serious and professional? I recommend my clients, we go through this really fun exercise where I give them like 100 words and tell them they have to get down to 10. And it is my favorite part of the entire process, because to watch, usually it's a group of like 5 or 6 people go through and figure out, what are 10 words? And with one client, it took 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because this was just such important work to them. But yeah, getting down to like, what is the essence of how you want people to think about you? And it gets back to how do you want them to feel? Do you want them to feel assured and trust you? Then perhaps part of your brand is to radiate a sense of trustworthiness. Or reliability, or what have you. So they're intertwined, because how you come across is related to how people will feel about you.
Yeah. By the way, when you have this work done, you make say a marketing firm or a website development company or design firm like us, you make our lives so much easier. We always start with a brand and positioning assessment with our clients, and the designers love that exercise. Now, it's helpful to be guided through it, I guarantee you, because we did the same process. But yeah, just to be really clear on those words, then a designer has that juice to go and help everything subconsciously communicate those words and that essence of who you are.
Right. So, I talked earlier about, consistency in how you show up and your brand and what have you. And so knowing these attributes and how you want people to feel after they've exchanged with your brand drives everything. From your, the visuals, like your logo development and website, how it looks, but it drives how you show up in a post. When you think about Marie Forleo,
it'll change your wardrobe. I mean, everything can. I mean, right? I mean, there's the t-shirt brand, and then there's the Marie Forleo of like
right
$2,000 dress every time you show up on video.
Right. I often suggest my clients.
I don't know.
What was that?
is it $5,000 dress? I don't even know. They look really expensive.
Thank you. She's an amazing wardrobe.
Right. What were you saying?
We won't go there. When you think about, brands like, because I'm working with a toy company right now, there's a brand, Goldie Blocks. And Goldie Blocks has this amazing sort of, go girl power kind of Beastie Boys-ish music in their commercials. And you would never see a post on their Facebook page, let's just say, like, hey, here's some nice toys that you can think about for Christmas this year. Like, it's more like, hey, we've got like the rockin', what have you, toys for
Right.
rock star girl, like everything they do just exudes their personality.
Right.
Until you know who you are, you can't do that.
That's the key. Exude who you are with your brand. And the more in alignment with who it is, who you really are, versus the people you're following, the more traction you're going to get, the faster you're going to get to the peaks of your pursuit in business. Right.
And it doesn't have to be, a big personality. You can be, not. It's more about just being uniquely you. Mm-hmm. And letting that shine, because what happens when you know who you are and you know who your ideal audience is, and it's and you're showing up consistently as who you are, there's this like almost like magnetic attraction that happens where the people who are right for you are just naturally going to find you and naturally going to like and trust you. It's this very kumbaya scenario that it's so much easier than trying to force that relationship.
Yeah. That's the key. Some of the key words, exude you. This will allow you to get into flow. All those, it really can make a huge difference. I hope that that you'll actually go through those 3 critical steps that Gina has listed out and do that work. I'm telling you, it's a night and day difference in how much flow you'll be experiencing in your business when you do the work. And if you want a much deeper shepherded, Sherpa'd guide to that process, that creative process, so that someone else from outside your business, outside your head, can start to see the story that can be told here with your brand, then by all means, go check out Gina Rao here in Portland. Or if you're elsewhere, go to mightybigimpact.com so that you can strike up a conversation with her. Again, like the comments below is going to be a great place, and I will continually watch those and send those over to Gina as they come in. And Gina, is there anything else that you'd like to impart on our lovely audience before we take off?
I would just say that, first of all, I've had so much fun today. Thank you, Jam. This has been awesome. I hope that people will reach out, if they have questions, or if something just, I just want a little bit of feedback or something. I welcome that.
You're very accessible.
I choose to work with solopreneurs and startups because I love the entrepreneurial spirit, and I just really want to help. So if I can help, let me know.
Yeah. What's the best way on social media they can reach out to you? Twitter?
On Twitter, I'm at Gina Rao, GINARAU, and at Facebook, I'm on the Big Impact page.
Mighty Big Impact page on Facebook.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, lovely speaking with you, and thank you for taking all this time to put this together and build. This is kind of cool. You get to build your thought leadership brand in a new medium here and exposed to our peaceful peeps. And I'm so excited that you get to see big heart, big ideas, creative person come to you and give you stuff for totally free. This is what it's all about, is really giving back to people so that you can get into the flow of your business. We just want to see you rise. All right. So until we see you next time, let's see, Gina, you know how it goes? Remember to love more, play more, and do more good.
Awesome. I love that.
All right, y'all. Peace. I'm Jam at Peaceful Media. We'll talk to you very soon.